Hey everyone, we're back today with the 2006 Nissan ALTIMA again. Today we are going to be replacing the wheel bearings, specifically in this video the rear ones. Now, disclosure, I already did the passenger side just to get it down, and now that I've gotten the process of everything, I'll share what I learned and the process with you. First, as always, whenever you're going to deal with anything with the wheel, break the wheel lugs loose first before you raise the vehicle. I already did that when I had the other side lifted, because I lifted the whole rear end. So these are already loose. As you can see, I can just freehand spin them with the adapter that came with this wheel. And make sure your vehicle safely secured in the air. I have a jack stand, and underneath the floor jack also holding it up. And then when I get the wheel off, I will put the wheel underneath the car as well. Triple safety. In this video, this is definitely a two-handed job. A lot of these bolts are on tight and require two hands. So I'm going to show you which bolts to remove, and then if I can, I'll record it. But more than likely, I'm just going to cut to the finished step and then to move on to the next step. I'll see you when the wheel's off. Here we are with the wheel removed. As you can see, I have it under the car, and again, jack stand placed under the jacking point, and then I have a jack underneath the suspension, keeping the car up as well. First thing we need to do is get rid of this brake caliper. First we need to get rid of the caliper itself and the bracket. To get rid of the caliper, right here, there is a 14mm bolt there, and if it comes out, yes, right here as well. So we're going to do that, and these are the slide pins for the brake caliper. So want to make sure we take care of them, don't damage them, and don't damage the rubber boot as well when you remove this. Okay, I got them broken loose. You'll have to forgive the neighbors behind me and in front of me here, making lots of noise. Kind of live in rural South Texas here. Once I got them broke free, just a little ratchet, get them right off. And as you can see, this is a little rusty. While you're doing all this, it's probably a good time to change your brakes, because you're gonna have everything off. So make sure you lubricate your slide pins and everything, but we'll get to that later. But we'll put that right back in there. We'll get the other one off. Once you get it, you should just be able to get it out by hand, and it comes right out. We'll put that down. That one's in okay condition. There's no wear marks or anything, but a little bit of corrosion. So we'll definitely put some silicone grease on there. Alright, now this should just pop right off. Yep, here we go. And you don't want to put any tension on your hose. So we'll just set this right up here on top of the upper control arm. You can bungee it, but you're not messing around up here, so it shouldn't go anywhere. And just to make sure you don't lose your bolts, you can put your bolts back in into the bracket here. And one of the boots came off. We want to make sure we keep that. Those protect it. There we go. Got it back on. And slide pin bolt is back in. There we go. Alright. Now that the caliper's out, we need to get the bracket out. There are two 17mm holding this on. There's one right here and one right down here. Now these definitely take two hands to knock loose, maybe even a little dead blow hammer, because there's not enough place to get a good breaker bar in here. So do what you got to do to get it out, but it's a 17mm, and I'll be back with y'all when I get a broker loose. Okay, I'm back. I lied. I didn't remember. I knew there's a 17 millimeter in this job somewhere. It's actually what's holding on the wheel hub. These are 19s, just a FYI. But yeah, we'll knock those loose and then I'll be back. Okay, I got the 2 bolts loose. It definitely took a few whacks with the hammer to get them broken, but as you can see, I can now freehand unscrew them. This will be the same case for the top and the bottom. Alright, that one's good. Like I said, this is definitely a 2-hand job, but I'm trying to get y'all the best views. Oh, I forgot about that. The brake pads. Don't forget to take your brake pads out. These are in good shape. This car had the brakes changed a few years ago, so don't need to change them, but now's a good time to change them if you haven't changed them at all. Oh, edit that out. Okay. Now's a good time to change them if you haven't changed them in a while. But now we are unscrewing this bottom one. Should just be able to do it by hand. Yes. They're fairly long. There we go. And come right out. So I'm going to put these back in their holes so you remember where they go. And as well for the top one. Okay, done with the bracket. Now this should just come off. If it doesn't, give it a few whacks with a hammer, kind of break it loose. You can see where I'm hitting it. I'm not hitting it on the flange where the brakes go. I'm hitting it on the flat surface here to kind of knock it loose. There's probably some rust back there, and definitely don't hit it on the studs. You are replacing these, but still, if you couldn't finish the job or something, you don't want to be stuck in that predicament. I'm gonna get this knocked off, and I'll get back to y'all. Okay, so after a few whacks and removing the e-brake, because I'm a dummy, there you go. It slides right off, no problem, and everything looks good. There's a little bit of rust that got knocked out, no problem. We will just set that there. And here you have your emergency brake system. Right here is the little spindle to tighten or decrease tension on your emergency brake pads. We'll do that when we're done because this hasn't been done in a while, and I definitely tighten it on the other side. But here we have, here we have the wheel bearing, and just right now you can hear that grinding sound. The noise was very terrible in this car, and pretty sure this one was the main culprit, but the other one was also starting to get pretty bad, so it's a good thing we're changing these. But I will get this out with the 4 17 millimeters back here. There's 1, 2, and on this side 3, 4. I'm doing my best to show y'all. We'll see how this comes out later. But yeah, it's pretty easy. There's 4 17 millimeters holding this on. Again, made a little bit of some force with the hammer to get them broken free, and then they should just spin right out. I'll get those knocked out, and we'll see you in a second. Alright, I got all 4 of the 17 millimeter bolts out. They are all the same size, so they can go back wherever. And then now this should just pop right out. The other one certainly did. Maybe give it a good little whack. Yep, there we go. Okay, easy as that. There we have it. And again, Ooh, that grinds really bad. Yeah, you can hear how bad it is. There's some grime back here. Probably got into the bearing. I'm gonna spray some brake clean in that just to kind of clean it out, prevent some future problems, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, here we have the old wheel bearing and hub, and we have the new wheel bearing and hub. As always, I like to do a comparison of both, make sure everything looks the same, and I know they should because the other one on the other hub fit. But as for yourself, make sure all the lug nuts are the same size and pattern and everything. The other thing I wanted to show y'all was, forget the temporary workbench. It's the tailgate of my truck. And also, if you're wondering, I do have a truck. That's why it's called Trucks, Cars, and Coffee. But I've replaced a bunch of stuff on this pickup before I started this channel. But it's an older pickup. It's a 95, so there's still some stuff bound to go wrong with it eventually. So we'll keep an eye out for that if you're interested in the truck part. But anyways, back to the wheel bearing. Here's the new one. I'm gonna get y'all real close. You can see, but not hear, any grinding. Over here, amongst the wind noise, there's significant grinding on this bearing here. I just want to make sure y'all can hear that. But yeah, that was our culprit. I'm gonna get this back on. I'm gonna clean the whole surface and everything with some brake clean, and then installation is literally reverse of what it was to take it off. You'll slap this on, 4 17mm bolts, tighten them up the best you can. Torque wrench them down if you have one, or can have a small enough one to fit in there. But the one I have is 12, 18 inches long, and it won't fit in there. But it did take a little bit of force to knock those loose, so probably about 70 or 80 foot-pounds will get those in. But let me get it cleaned, and I'll show you all the process getting it back in. Alright, I got it clean. I sprayed it down with some brake clean. See a lot of the mess that came out. I think the reason why this got bad, there's a weird plastic little backing here, and for some stupid reason, the manufacturer, Nissan, decided to put a hole in it, and I'm pretty sure that's what let in all this dust and sand and grime and grease and stuff to cause the wheel bearing to go bad. So as always, they design these for failure, so you have to come back in and service it yourself. But hey, that's what we're here for. Service your own car and save some money, right? But that comes in and out really easily. Just clean it down. Like I said, just spray some brake clean in there, and then definitely two-hand job, but I'm just going to show you. It pops right back in, no problem. Let me zoom out here. Yeah, right back in, no problem. And just screw in your 17mm, and you should be good to go. Alright, as y'all can see, we've got the new wheel bearing hub in, and it's nice and quiet. It took about 5 minutes to get it seated, and I slowly ran them down. I didn't, just tighten one and then go from there, because you got to get them lined up. And then I crisscrossed. I did here, 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 and then I just slowly did that until it got seated. And then, as I said before, unless you have a torque wrench that can fit in there, you just kind of you had to hammer it to get it out, knock it loose. Give it a couple whacks, your wrench, your ratchet wrench, to get them tightened. And then now the next thing to do is get your disc back on here, and there's a little hole here that you need to line up with the spindle here for your emergency brake. So we will do that now. Alright, and then something I learned, if you don't know this, use one of your lug nuts and hand tighten it on to get the brake disc seated all the way. Well, that may not be a good one. Y'all get to see all the trial and error and what really happens when working on a car. It's never as easy as it looks. And I'm doing this left-handed, which I am not. So, alright, as you can see, as I'm turning it, it's slowly seating the disc into its home. And I'll do two just to be safe. There we go. Alright, and as we can see right now, the emergency brake isn't set, and it's rubbing fine, it's turning fine. I'm going to go set the emergency brake now, and we'll see how this does and see if we need to tighten or loosen the tensioner. Alright, I've tightened the emergency brake, and as you can see, I can't spin this, so it's good. The tensioner is good on this side. Next thing we need to do is get the brake caliper bracket back in place, which should be nice and easy to do. Okay, so I had to start this clip again. Someone drove by and was playing music. It was loud and didn't want to get a copyright strike. So here we go again. I already got the disc on, no problem. Next we need to put the brake caliper bracket on, and if you did how I did, your bolts are going to be sitting right in their home. So we'll remove those, get it on. Super easy. Remember, they're 19 millimeters, and these need to be kind of whacked into place too. So I'm going to do that and get right back to y'all. Okay, we got the brake caliper bracket back on. Got them nice and tight, and right now is where you would change your brakes if you were doing that. You know, your brake kit might have some instructions, but it's pretty straightforward on what you need to do. You know, put your hardware in and everything, and put your lubricant there, but these move nice and freely on both sides, so I'm not going to worry about it. It doesn't rust here in South Texas. This car's lived here its whole life. If you're wondering why this car looks immaculate, if you watch other videos, they might be using torches and all kinds of impact stuff to try and get their stuff out, but here it's pretty easy. But we got our brake pads in. Now we need to get our caliper back in, no problem. And usually I'll start with the bottom bolt, get it kind of centered, and then we'll go from there. Don't forget to make sure the slide pin covers are in place, because those will protect your slide pins in the long run. So I'm going to get that in. These are 14 millimeters again, and get it knocked out. Okay, here we have our brake caliper back on. Bolts are in, secured. I did go ahead and lube the caliper slide pins. They were kind of difficult to put in. When you're doing this, you know, if you're doing it with the brake job, use what came with it. It's meant for that. But if you're pulling from your shelf, obviously make sure it's not oil based, it's silicone based, because if it's oil based, it will eat these rubber boots, and you're gonna have problems down the line anyways that you're not gonna want. So next step is easy. Let's remove these lug nut bolts and get the tire back on, which should be a fairly straightforward process. Shouldn't have to tell you how to do that. If you're doing this kind of job yourself, you probably know how to put a tire on. But just for fun, we'll lift it up. We'll put our lug nuts on in a star pattern, i.e. we'll go here, 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 and we'll just keep doing that over until we get the tire seated. We'll get it back down on the ground and torque it down to manufacturer specs. Easy as that. So thanks for stopping by today, watching the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. I do have more content coming in the future. There's a few projects going on with this car, And if some of y'all want to see a mod being done to my other personal vehicle, stay tuned. That should be coming in a few weeks. Again, thanks for stopping by. Take care.